Hello and welcome to Froch on Fighting. My name is Carl Froch, the former unified super middleweight world boxing champion and International Boxing Hall of Famer. This episode is brought to you by Cobra Casino. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I'm delighted today to be joined with former two-weight world champion, the Jackal, Carl Frampton. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah, doing not too bad. Busy this morning. I'm on my own with a baby, so it's never easy.
I know what that's like. How old's your baby?
She's two. She's good fun.
How'd you cope? All right?
I'm all right. Yeah, me and her have a great relationship, but after about 2 or 3 hours, if my wife's not here, I'm kind of asking, "Where are you? I need help."
Yeah, we need the women, don't we? When they're that young as well.
Yeah.
When they need feeding every bloody 4 hours. But anyway, so how's life? All good?
All good. Life's really good. Yeah, busy. Busier than I expected it was going to be when I retired, if I'm being honest. But it's a nice balance. There's a good kind of ratio between working hard and then having a bit of chill out time, which I love to do, to be honest.
Yeah. I did mention in the intro that you're a two-weight world champion, but I've got quite a young audience on this digital platform on YouTube, the biggest boxing channel in the business, Froch on Fighting. So do you want to just sort of introduce yourself and your achievements and what you've done, the weight division? I said two-weight world champion, just for the younger audience that maybe have not come across you yet.
Yeah, I was a two-weight world champion, as you said. I won my first world title as a super bantamweight. I think I had 3 defenses of the IBF title. Then I unified against Scott Quigg. And then I moved up and fought Leo Santa Cruz and beat him the first time to become a two-weight world champion. We rematched and he beat me the second time. Now, there were 2 good fights.
Great fight. I was lucky enough to beat which one was the Vegas one? That was the rematch.
Vegas was the second.
Yeah,
that was second. He beat me in that one. But I mean, 2 good close fights. You expect there to be a third, but there wasn't. No. But you can blame Leo Santa Cruz for that, not me.
Yeah, I didn't fancy it. Hard night's work though. So when you've done 24 rounds with somebody and it's been a hard night's work.
Yeah.
Like Mikel Kester had 24 rounds with him, and I would have never fancied the third one. It was 1-1. I'm happy to leave it at 1-1.
Yeah.
That'll do me. But no, you've had a great career, mate, and you're a top fighter, obviously. And you've been a face of boxing, a face of sort of TNT. I say the face of TNT, but you still are working as a co-commentator and a pundit analysis. A lot of it, do you do a lot of commentary, or do you do more pundit?
I do a little bit of commentary, but I don't like it, to be honest. I much prefer it's easier, and you probably agree. The pundit, you watch a fight and then you talk about it for 5 minutes. Yeah. It's the easiest job in the world, being a boxing pundit. But the commentary, I don't mind doing it, but I'd rather not.
Yeah, well, you say it's easy, right? And broadcast bosses don't like that. I think, oh, it's easy for him, is it? And we're paying him X amount. But it's easy when you've been there, seen it, and done it, which you have, and which I have. And I was guilty of saying it's an easy job once. It's not actually that easy, but it's easy for people like me and you who have been world champion, have been in that ring, and we know what it's like to exchange blows and sit down in the corner or come back from losses. Do you know what I mean? So
I think so. Yeah, that's probably fair.
It's not that easy. We make it look easy, mate. That's what we do. Yeah. Well, I wanted to get into you just briefly about the change or potential change that Turki Alalshikh has brought to boxing lately. I mean, when you've got the money, you control everything, don't you? Because we're prize fighters. We want paying, and if you're fighting under Turki Alalshikh and the Saudi Arabian sort of regime, if you like, their idea what they're doing with sports, then you're going to get paid the most. And we're prize fighters, so whoever's paying the most, you're going to go and talk to them. But what do you make now of sort of him? I want to get your thoughts on him teaming up with Dana White and TKO, which is a new boxing promotion. That was announced with Dana White and Turki Alalshikh a couple of days ago. What are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, it's very interesting, to be honest. I think that Turki Alalshikh and the Saudis have been a great thing for boxing. Look at the fights we're starting to see, and that was always a criticism thrown at boxers in boxing, that the big fights weren't happening. I think they want to take over, like they want to own the sport pretty much, and I don't mind that as long as the fights continue to happen. And you'll probably agree with this, Carl. Like, fighters used to get a lot of criticism for maybe the fights not happening, but if a fighter is being paid properly, they will always fight. They'll fight anybody if they're getting paid. I would say the vast majority would do that, and there's not many people that would dodge fights if they're being rewarded for it fairly. So I think it's a good addition. I still don't know a lot about it. I imagine that Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren's nose might be out of joint a little bit. I'm not sure, but
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they take it or how they see it. Yeah, but I imagine I mean, it can't have been something where they didn't know this was going to happen. They must have knew.
Yeah.
There must have been discussions previous. So, I'm not sure how the boys feel.
Well, the thing is, Frank Warren at Queensbury and Eddie Hills, the 6-0 Iceman and Bricktop, lots of people call him Bricktop now. I can't think why. But these two promoters, they're kind of running boxing in Britain, and Eddie Hearn's doing really well in America. But for Turkey now to team up with Dana White and start a whole new boxing sort of promotion, but it's going to be a different concept. I saw something about Turkey, maybe or maybe not, a bit of a conspiratorial, but the WBC title, I think Turkey said to Canelo, don't bring the WBC title onto the stage when he was waiting for doing his bit of promotion for the last fight. So he may be trying to sort of separate himself from the sanctioning bodies, WBC, WBA, IBF, the three major ones. We've obviously got the WBO as well. But if they do their own boxing league and try and structure it like the UFC, I think that will be great in terms of getting all the fights at once, the best fighting the best, because Dana White knows how to run the UFC. And that's like you just said there, that's what we've missed out on boxing for many years. We are getting them now. Now Bricktop and Hills are working together. We're getting the fights, but that's just because of the money. Obviously, you're going to go where the money is. But there's a sense that maybe Turkey doesn't need the promoters anymore. That's one thing. I don't think Frank Warren will be too bothered. He's in his 70s. He's absolutely smashed it. Eddie Hearn may feel a bit different, although I have recently heard that he's announcing his retirement from boxing, or he's got one eye on looking at retiring out of boxing. So maybe his nose has been put out of joint, like you said, and he's thinking, right, I need a bit of a exit plan here. I mean, Matchroom's obviously massive, and they've got other sports, the darts and snooker, etc. And they've done fantastic, all mainly because of Barry Hearn and his relationship with Steve Davis all them years ago. That's where it all began with the snooker. But in terms of, is it good or bad for boxing? I think in the short term, in the interim, the guys that are top world champions like Canelo, they're going to be getting paid a fortune. And Anthony Joshua before, I mean, in my opinion, AJ's about finished now. But say Dubois, the people at the top of their division usually get paid the most for their fights. So they might not want to join a league. So I always think it's going to be a generational thing. So when this league takes off, it'll kind of be the next generation of fighters that come through entering the league, because it's like guaranteed money. Like when I went in the Super 6 World Boxing Classic, after I beat Jean Pascal, then I defended against Jermaine Taylor, I was a little bit in no man's land because it was 2008, 2009, the markets all crashed. I've got nowhere to earn any money. ITV pulled out of boxing and this tournament format came up, and I signed a 5-fight deal with Showtime to earn X amount of millions of dollars because it was an American tournament. And I just thought, there's a safety net here. Win, lose or draw, I've got 3 fights and it's a point system. And then if I get enough points in the first 3 fights, I lost to Kessler in the first 3 fights, but then I'll beat Abraham in the next fight. So I went through to the semi-final. You kind of like the security of guaranteed money. And it was good money. It was like over $10 million. And back in 2009, that was good money. So I entered that tournament.
Yeah, it's good money. It's good money now.
Oh yeah, well, it's not the kind of money that you're being paid if you're boxing under the Saudi regime as a world champion. Can you imagine the money that would be involved now? And we've had it before with the Super Series, which was Groves and Callum Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. So my argument would be that I kind of agree with the league format. I think fighters would like it because they're not always trying to defend their undefeated record. They're just fighting the best of the best. But I think it's going to take some time to build and get into. It's not something that can happen immediately. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think it will take a bit of time, and I think a concern that I have with a boxing league is if it will be suited for all the top fighters fighting each other if they all decide to do so. But what about the guys fighting at kind of British title level, European title level, who are in their own right are good fighters, but are they going to be sidelined and they won't get the fights and they won't be on TV because all the TV is catered around these top big fights? I'm not kind of sure what happens to these guys, so there'd be a bit of a concern there. But my first initial impressions are it's a good thing for boxing, and I think that he just wants to do away with the governing bodies. He wants to, in this sport where we have 4 people at the same weight division can call themselves a world champion at any one time.
Yeah.
I think he wants there to be one recognizable champion, and that's it. So I think the governing bodies are probably a little bit concerned as well. But Turkey, they've got so much money, and they clearly love the sport as well, and they're trying to promote their country too. And I think when you have the dough that they have, they can make anything happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Turki Alalshikh actually sat down with him and did an interview, which you've probably seen, and
Cena.
He gets a bit giddy around the boxing. He loves, like he was talking about Thomas Hearns and Duran and Leonard and Hagler and them sort of fight. And I thought, you know what? He actually knows his boxing. He's talking about Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, and then he went on to Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. And I thought to myself, you know what? Fair play to Turkey, because he's been given a job to promote boxing, and like the Saudis are doing with a lot of sports, with golf and snooker, with the live golf and that. So they're doing what they're doing within sports, and Turkey has obviously been chosen as the minister for sport for that job because he is actually a boxing fan. So fair play to him. And it frustrates him. He actually offered Joe Calzaghe a big bag to fight me, like recently. Like he told me about that. I think it was about the time I was criticising the atmosphere in Saudi Arabia. He must have got on the phone to Calzaghe and thought to himself, "Can you give this fucking Froch a beating? Because I want to shut him up."
I mean, that maybe that's what he wanted, but you know, I think that people probably just look at Turki Alalshikh and just think it's a guy with money being backed by the Saudi government to try and get the biggest fights. But I think that's something that probably annoys him. I get the impression he's a big boxing fan, like genuinely he's a boxing fan and he loves the sport. So I think you need more people with deep pockets like him involved in this. I wish he was involved 6 or 7 or 8 years ago when I was in my pump, but
me and you both.
Yeah,
me and you both.
Yeah.
But so ultimately, then, would you say, like, is it going to be a net positive or a net negative for boxing, Turki Alalshikh and this team up with Dana White, regardless of what happens with Bricktop and Hills and the promotional companies and the sanctioning bodies? Do you think ultimately, I think it's going to take time. I think it's going to be the next generation. They're going to drip feed into it. But do you think ultimately it's going to be a better sport like the UFC? Do you like the UFC format? The best fight the best. It doesn't matter if you get beat, you can come again.
I do like what they do in the UFC. I mean, I'm a fan of MMA. I would say I'm a casual fan, and I watch the big fights, to be honest. And a lot of times, especially when they go to the ground, I don't really know what I'm watching, but I still enjoy the big nights, and it's a great promotion. But initially, my thoughts are it is going to be a success. I mean, when you have someone like Dana White involved, and look at the model that they produced in the UFC, backed by Turki Alalshikh, it's kind of hard to see it not being a success. But time will tell, I suppose, and I think it will take a little bit of time to get right.
Do you think it's something that you would have been interested in on your build-up? Could you have seen yourself actually, if you got the option to do the old traditional route, which you do because you get paid more when you champ if you're selling pay-per-view, for example? Pay-per-view was like the big thing, wasn't it? If you can get on pay-per-view, you know you're making big dough. But this way, you're in a tournament, so you've got almost stability and you've got security for your family. If you've got a mortgage, you know you can pay your bills. If you keep fighting, you'll get your chances. Do you think it's something that you'd have been interested in as a professional?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, my whole kind of thought process while I was boxing and starting to do really well was I was just always thinking about security for my family, because I know you don't do it for very long, and we all have short careers, and I wanted to make as much money as possible that me and my wife and my kids could have a comfortable life after boxing. And I'm lucky. I mean, I'm not in your bracket, but I'm lucky I've done quite well, and I can live a comfortable life. But absolutely, I mean, there's probably 99% of professional boxers who can't say that. So I understand that I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, but at the time when you was building, you wouldn't turn your back on a potential sort of league format with boxing.
No way. As long as you're like I said, as long as you're getting paid, I was all ears for. I would have been happy to fight anybody if the money was right. Yeah, and that was something I get criticised, and I always come back. I get criticised for not fighting Rigo, but Rigo was unbelievable. I was a massive fan of his, and he's a fantastic fighter. But the American TV networks didn't like him because they seen him as boring. So we would have had to do the show in Belfast, and I know what I was getting paid in Belfast, not pay-per-view or anything like that. I was offered to fight Leo Santa Cruz, and it was literally 6 times the money.
Really?
So I would have been silly. I would have been silly to fight Rigo because everybody on the internet wanted me to, instead of taking 6 times the money to fight Leo Santa Cruz, which was probably an easier fight than Rigo. So, I used to get criticised for that all the time, but to be honest, I don't give a shite.
Nah. Well, what's the worst thing than everybody talking about you is nobody talking about you. So let them talk. Let them
True.
talk. Sure. I get it quite a lot, but I love it. So if you want to give the Cobra some more stick, or the Jackal some stick, just carry on, because we thrive on it. We love it. And I know you don't back down, and we'll get into that. Maybe no, we won't get into it. We'll go straight into it. I just want to ask you about Big John Fury, the fighting man, because he had a go at the Cobra. He's also had a go at the Jackal, and I can remember when he had a go at you, and you stood your ground, and you was like, yeah, what? You didn't move, you didn't flinch, and in the end, he walked off from you, didn't he? I thought, go on, Mr. Frampton, hold your ground.
Well,
and he's twice the fucking size of you as well, by the way. So I was quite
I
proud
know.
of you.
I hurt my neck looking up at him, to be honest. But I came out of that little video looking relatively hard, but I was shitting myself. I swear to God, I've never been as scared in my life. And as soon as we got away from him, I was on the phone to my wife, Christine. John Fury's just grabbed me. But yeah,
quiet,
it was. Yeah, it was just an opinion, and I had an opinion on the fight. It was around Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, and the opinion was, I didn't even really criticize Tommy Fury. I just said I think they're both similar levels. I fancy Jake Paul. I'm not quite sure who wins the fight. That was it.
Yeah,
and that's what John got annoyed about.
Quite well. And it was fair enough as well, because at the end of the day, they're boxed, and it was very close. Could have gone either way, so you were right, weren't you? Right, well, that was interesting. Listen, Carl, while I've got you, I always like to do 12 rounds with whoever I'm interviewing. So if you don't mind, I'm going to do a 12 quick-fire questions with yourself. Let's do 12 rounds with the Jackal, Carl Frampton. Ding, ding, round 1. We've already had a nice segue into this one, actually. Can you describe John Fury in 3 words?
Oh, big, aggressive, volatile.
Big, aggressive, and volatile. There's nothing in there about him being a bully or being weak.
No, I know. Well,
too nice. Big, aggressive, and volatile. Fair enough.
I have to be careful what I say. I don't want to be accosted again by Big John, if I'm being honest. But
mate,
he's a big lad.
When you said you was feeling a bit worried about him and you was shitting yourself, that's just the fight or flight mode. And you're a fighter, we know that. So don't worry about that, mate. It's called adrenaline. You need that in your body. You need that running through your veins. Couple of them right hands or left hooks on the chin, mate. You'd be sweet.
I don't know if it had reached his chin, but it was in prime height for a big body shot.
Couple of body shots, mate. Do it now. It's more friendly, isn't it? A body shot. Right. If you could have round 2, if you could have dinner with 3 people, any 3 people, not boxers, just any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
George Best.
Go on, Georgie Best.
Yeah. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Are
you a fan?
Yeah, I like Donald Trump. Yeah.
MAGA.
Don't be getting me cancelled here, but I do.
Cancellation thing's ending, mate. It's all coming to an end.
Who have I got? Best, Donald Trump, and Ali.
Muhammad Ali, yeah?
Yeah.
That's a good trio.
I need someone funny. Ali's funny, but who? Billy Connolly. I love Billy Connolly. Maybe if there was a 4th allowed, I would bring Billy.
Billy Connolly is hilarious. He's been talking about cancelled. Yeah. He's not very PC at the minute, is he?
No.
He hasn't been for the last few years. Right, round 3. True or false? Anthony Joshua is finished. And don't forget, I'm asking the questions. You're just answering them.
Right, okay. Finished, I would say true, with a caveat that he's not quite as good as he used to be, but there's still life in the old dog, but it just happens to us all as we get older. We're not as good as we once were, and I think his best years are probably behind him, but it's true and false.
Well, I think there's still money on the table, isn't there, with Tyson Fury? But while Tyson Fury remains retired, where does Anthony Joshua? I'd say, where does Anthony Joshua go next? Who can he fight? If you're promoting him and you're going to be careful with him, which you would have to be, because he gets it on the chin and he's unconscious before he hits the floor. Now, to be fair to him, he got battered by Daniel Dubois, but he did climb up. Mind you saying that now?
Yeah, he's very brave. That's something that you have to give him credit for. He's brave. Yeah. He's very brave.
I'll give him that.
And but who would you match him with? I don't know. I think hopefully would like to see the Fury fight. It's still a fight that both guys are past their best, but it's still a fight that we'd all tune in and watch, I think.
Do you think Fury's done? I've seen him on social media recently. He looks quite happy, chatting away and that. Do you think he's done? Do you think he'll come back?
I don't know. I mean, there's talk of Fury. I think he would only come back for an AJ fight. What would be the point otherwise? And like Fury's, he's probably got 100 million in the bank. You know what I mean? He might get another 30 or 40 for AJ, but do you need another 30 or 40 if we've already got 100? And I think that,
I don't know what it feels like to have 100 million.
Yeah, I think that is he done? I don't know. He's definitely not the fighter that he used to be. And I think now, I think 3 years ago, I would have said Fury beats AJ comfortably, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's probably a lot closer, maybe 55-45 in Fury's favour.
Oh, do you think that close? I'm surprised at that, because I thought that even though Fury lost twice to Usyk, I thought he'd give him his toughest fights. I thought he's gone 24 rounds of Usyk, and the last one
he did.
Close. He did get beat.
It was close. Yeah, but I would still favour him in an AJ fight, but not as strongly as I would a few years ago.
Yeah. Okay, I'll subscribe to that. Right, round 4. Moving on. Ding ding. Who is the biggest knobhead? It's actually knobhead in boxing. And you can't say my producer.
No. I like Manny, to be honest. Biggest knobhead in boxing. I mean, there's plenty, isn't there?
Let's have a top 3 then. We can have an all-time.
No, we didn't go. You're going to get me in trouble. We'll do one.
Do one, yeah.
Someone who I can't deal with him even when I'm watching him. I don't like the sound of his voice. Benn Shalom.
Benn Shalom, really?
Yeah. He I don't really know him, but I can't really go into it too much, but he phoned me out of the blue somewhere and trying to feed me with all these lines about someone and something that was going on in the press, as if I was his puppet and I was going to say all this stuff. But then when I was a young fighter looking, a young good fighter looking to be promoted in the UK.
When you spoke to Benn Shalom?
What's that?
Was you an actual active fighter?
No, I was retired. But I was talking about another fighter, and I was quite vocal on the subject, and he was just trying to tell me some information, but wanting me to say it rather than him say it himself. And then there's a young fighter, good fighter, a former world champion, was from the UK, then based himself in America for a while, tried to come back to the UK, and he wanted a promoter. So I reached out to George Warren. They had a chat with a kid. Frank Smith, Matchroom had a chat with a kid. Reached out to Benn Shalom, and he ignored me. And this was only a few days after he was looking me to do him a favour. So that's something that I haven't forgotten.
So that's put Benn Shalom in the biggest knobhead in boxing category for yourself.
Who's yours? Who do you reckon?
Me? I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about knobheads in boxing, I mean, I could say somebody like, John Fury, but he's kind of gone now. He is a knobhead. He's involved in boxing, but he's kind of irrelevant now. But Jake Paul's trying to call himself a professional fighter, a professional boxer. And I just think he's an absolute fucking bellend. But that's why he's such a big sell to his young demographic, because he's a knobhead. So it'd be somebody like that. But I could go all day and give certain promoters stick, certain promoters I've worked with, mentioning no names. I mean, I could go into certain things, which I'm not gonna. But I'd say probably Jake Paul. He's a right fucking knobhead, and you never know. If I keep poking him, he might just take the bait one day and get
Oh,
ironed out.
here. I forgot the biggest. Barry McGuigan. Half I forgot about that. Flip me. He's top of the list. He goes above Shalom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I've only met Barry a few times. He's always been Sammy, obviously fellow boxer, and he was a good fighter in his day, and he achieved good things. Hall of Famer as well. But you work with him, and when you work with somebody, you get a close relationship with him. So you're entitled to a totally different opinion to me because I've never worked with him. What about his son Shane? How do you get on with him?
Not bad.
Another knobhead.
Yeah, don't like him. But he's. I mean, like you said, Barry was a great fighter, and he knows the game inside out. He's a very good in terms of like matchmaking and getting the right fights at the right time. Very, very good at that. The son Shane, very, very good coach as well. I think he knows his stuff. Certainly, he's produced a lot of good fighters, but yeah, he's another knobhead.
Barry spotted you as a talent, didn't he? Quite early on, did he? Spot you in the amateurs, or was you already a pro?
Yeah, I signed pro. I turned over with Barry in 2009. And he managed me, and I was being promoted by Matchroom at the start, and it was Barry Hearn back then rather than before Eddie came in.
Right.
And yeah, it was all lovely, rosy, great relationship. But if you read my book, you'll find out what happened, and it was a lot of horrible stuff went on behind the scenes, and for that reason, I will always say he's a knobhead.
Yeah, and I'd say, without even asking you, but I'm probably right, it's down to money. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because most
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the time, mate, it's jealousy, money, or greed. It's always that with human beings, unfortunately. That's the root of all evil, isn't it? Money. In the Western world, anyway. Right, we've got the knobheads. A few knobheads there. Who is the best Irish fighter of all time? We know who it isn't now. Round 5. Best Irish fighter of all time.
Well, I mean, I think you have to put McGuigan would be in the bracket, definitely. Steve Collins. Even, I mean, myself, to be in the conversation, that's good.
Absolutely. Steve Taylor. Collins, McGuigan, yourself, definitely.
Yeah, I think Wayne McCulloch never gets a mention. Wayne McCulloch was a great fighter. But you go way back. There's a guy, he born from not far away from where I'm living now. Jimmy McLarnon, you called him. He never won a world title, but he beat a number of world champions. I think go back to the 30s, and he probably is the greatest Irish fighter of all time. And then obviously Katie Taylor. If you're not separating women's boxing and men's boxing, what she's done has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely undisputed. I mean, she's fantastic talent. On from the Olympics and then do what she's done in the pro game.
Amazing. And a great girl as well.
What did you think of her 2 fights with Serrano? How did you think she got on with them?
I think...
Because I had them really close, especially the rematch.
They were really close, but I edged them both to Katie, if I'm being honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the were close. It's one of these ones where if Serrano gets her hand raised, there's no complaints really. But I thought she just nicked them.
Okay, fair enough. Right, moving on. Ding ding, round 6. Fill in the blank. This one could be good. Eddie Hearn is. You don't work with Eddie Hearn, have you?
No, I have.
Oh, really?
And I don't mind Eddie, to be honest, but Eddie Hearn is
top salesman.
He is a top salesman. He's a brilliant promoter. We'll have to say that. He is. What is Eddie Hearn? Eddie Hearn is in love with himself. Can we say that?
He certainly is. That's a great answer.
He's all right, but Eddie's all right.
Yeah. Eddie Hearn is in love with himself. Yeah, good answer, mate. That's a great round 6. Halfway there. Right, ding ding, round 7. Name your top 3 British boxers in the last 25 years. So 2000 onwards, top 3 British boxers.
Oh, right, okay.
This is your top 3. So we're not going to say who is arguably the best top 3, because you're going to have Lewis in there, probably Kawasaki, maybe myself, who knows. But your top 3.
Right, okay. Well, I'm not just saying that because you're talking to me, but you'd be in, definitely.
Go on the jackal. I'll take
I would say, when did Calzaghe retire? Was it previous to that?
Well, he was around one in year 2000, but he
Early
retired
2000.
just before I won the world title. He vacated the WBA when I then went on. I won the vacant title against Jean Pascal in 2008. So he then fought Hopkins and Roy Jones, beat them both, climbed off the floor in round one as well, didn't he, against Hopkins?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
Well,
I'll
no, then
say
he retired after that.
I'll say Calzaghe, and I'll say, I'm going to say, people are probably expecting me to say Fury, who's probably on a different day would be in the top three, but I'm going to say Josh Taylor for what he done in that period where he had a couple of years. Josh Taylor was an undisputed champion inside 20 fights. People forget that, like incredible resume. And I think for that 2-year period, 3-year period where he was unbelievable, I'd stick him in.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good one. The people will be arguing. I can see him writing in the comments now about his fight with Jack Catterall and the undisputed fight that he did well to keep hold of, and then he lost to him in the rematch, didn't he? But you're right. I mean, some of the wins to become undisputed it was whooping everyone, wasn't he? Catching them.
And he was class for. And maybe again, Josh. I know he's continuing on. Maybe he's not as good as he once was, but that's okay when you've had a career like him. At his best, unbelievable.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I can go with that. I watched him against Teofimo Lopez, actually. It was on a big screen out in New York. It was actually in Canastoto when I was getting inaugurated into the Hall of Fame, and it was on the big screen. And I met Teofimo Lopez, classy guy, really top fighter. I know Josh Taylor lost that night, but he gave him a fight. He was in the fight for 12 rounds. But that Teofimo Lopez, actually, he's some fighter, isn't he?
Yeah, quality. And he's a bit of a loose. I actually met him at the Ring Magazine Awards in London.
That's when I met him.
Yeah, first time I've met him, and he's all right. He's a sound fella. Like, no, I know he's a bit of a. He seems like he's a bit mad, but he was a good guy.
Yeah, did he have dark sunshades on and a big coat and that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was. I saw him outside. He actually went out of his glasses, dropped his glasses down, and went, "Is that Carl Froch?" And he's like, "Come on!" I thought, "Yeah." Made me feel good about myself.
He called me Carl Froch, and this happens to me all the time because obviously Frampton and Froch and Carl, like it's pretty close. The amount of time, see, anytime
you just pissed on my parade there, aren't you? Really?
No, but it's good for you because people forget Frampton, but they always remember the name Froch. So he says, "You Froch?" And I went, "No, I'm the other one." He went, "Oh yeah, Frampton." So
right, okay, fair enough.
I get it. See, the amount of people. When I say something online, I get clowns and dickheads all the time saying, "But did you do it in front of 80,000 at Wembley?"
Oh, really?
I'm going, "That's not me. It's someone else."
You got the wrong one. That's strange, that is. But yeah, I know what you mean. So that's the casuals that haven't got a clue what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Getting Frampton missed for us. Totally different weight divisions, different part of Great Britain. But anyway, moving on. Good top three, by the way, especially having the Cobra in there. Are you a wrestling fan?
Like WWE?
Yeah.
No, I was when I was a kid.
Oh, you know, I was going to ask you, what did you make of John Cena turning heel? He's kind of gone. He's gone over to the dark side, hasn't he? Did you see any of that?
No. What's happened?
Yeah, what he's done is he's kicked Cody Rhodes in the balls and sort of turned into the bad guy after 25 years. But if you're not a wrestling fan, then we'll leave that one there.
No idea.
Right,
I've no idea. I've never heard of Cody Rhodes in my life.
You've heard of John Cena, though, yeah?
I've no John Cena. John Cena follows me on Twitter, which I'm very proud of.
Oh, does he?
But I think he follows another 200,000 people as well. He's one of them guys.
He might be a boxing fan now.
Maybe.
Round 9, ding ding. Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Who wins?
I think without the rehydration clause, Benn. Oh, sorry, without the rehydration clause, Eubank.
Without the rehydration. So you think the rehydration clause is going to kill him? Do you?
I think so. I mean, I know how hard it was. I was the IBF super bantamweight champion, so there was always a £10 rehydration clause for IBF world title fights. Yeah. And for me, a small guy fighting at 122 pounds, it was difficult to maintain that £10 for the next day. I think I want Eubank Jr. to win, but I have a feeling that he won't. And I think he's over the hill now. And you look at his last few performances; he's looked dead at the weight. He had a fight in Saudi recently where he didn't look very good at all. Um,
He fell
maybe,
apart with Liam Smith, didn't he? Fell
yeah,
apart.
he did. And I think a lot of it's down to the weight. I think he struggles to make 169. I think he should be, and as he's getting older, he should be going up to 168, which he's fought at before, rather than trying to stay down there.
Yeah. He's had a couple of half-decent wins at 168, actually. What's his name? Arthur Abraham, James DeGale.
Yeah.
I know he lost
Yeah.
to George Groves, but a couple of good wins there. I mean,
Yeah.
past the best fighters, but at 168, he's proven that he can actually mix it at
He
world
can.
level. Not world champion, but £8 at 36 years old and a £10 rehydration clause, that could literally be the deciding. It's a bit annoying,
I
isn't it,
think
that
so.
they've actually stuck that in there, because if Benn's coming up to middle and he wants to fight him, then you just think, well, make the weight the day before, and then whatever you are, you are. Like Terence
That's
Crawford's
my
doing with
opinion.
Canelo Alvarez. Canelo
Yeah.
Alvarez might get in the ring, getting on for 14 stone, and Terence
Yeah.
Crawford's going to be up at a higher weight, fighting a guy who's bloody massive. I mean,
That's my opinion on, and I think they've been. If I was Eubank, what I would have done was, I don't know what the split is in terms of the pay-per-views, but I would have given a little bit more to Benn just to not have that rehydration clause in, because I think it really will affect his performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. But that might be the sort of caveat for the rematch, because they're going to try and get at least 2 out of it, and they might get 3 if they have 2. But he could say, listen, I was dead at the weight. That £10 rehydration clause did me. If you want to fight me properly and get the full force of Eubank Jr., let me weigh what I want on the day, and that could get the fans thinking, oh, actually. But it is big. Are you looking forward to it?
I am. I think it is mad. Like in terms of what both fighters and what they've done, they still really haven't done a lot. You know, they haven't been world champions, and they have been living off the fathers' names for a while. But I think in their own right now, they're their own fighters and their own men. But the interest around this is incredible. I mean, it's massive. It's so big, and even the egg, Chris Eubank hitting Benn with the egg. I thought that was funny. If you're Conor Benn getting hit with an egg, I know. I mean, he reacted how anybody else would react. Like, you'd be furious and angry. But when he thinks about it, he's probably added a few more figures onto the pay-per-view packet both guys are going to get.
Yeah. You know, when I interviewed him the next day under sort of with DAZN, but it was for Froch on Fighting, but you can imagine it had to be sort of kept correct, if you like. And I did mention the egg to him when we sat down, and he just laughed about it. It was all right. He was laughing. And I said a few things during the interview, and he was like, can't tell if you're taking the piss, like, because it was alluding towards the egg. But at the end of the day, I mean, he failed a drugs test, and we all know about that. Would you say he's the bad guy going into this fight because of that?
I think so, because of that. And I mean, I hate people that take performance enhancing drugs in this sport. I really do. And I think the fines and bans should be harsher. And I think one of the reasons why Conor Benn gets so much criticism more than other guys who failed tests is just because of how they handled it and the aftermath of it. Yeah. But no doubt a very good fighter, and someone I was up until the field drug test, I was loving Conor Benn. Like, he looked like he was improving at a rapid rate.
Prospect, wasn't it?
Very exciting, but that, because of the field test, it's just changed my opinions of him.
Yeah, it's tarnished it. I think it has a lot of people. It's a shame, really, because I spoke to him. He's a nice kid. I enjoy his company. He's very respectful. I mean, he did an interview with me that day, and Chris Eubank Jr. was there. He walked in, did his photos, and walked out. Didn't look at anyone, wouldn't talk to anyone, wouldn't do an interview. And I was like, left a bad taste in my mouth. I thought, fucking bit stupid that was. I sparred with him as well. He helped me out for the George Groves rematch. I did loads of rounds of sparring with him. So when you're sparring with people, you sort of become friendly, don't you? You get a bit of a bond. But there was nothing there, just cold. Walked in, fuck everyone, do his bit, leave. And like, DAZN had spent money and done the production and got everything ready and set up to do these interviews, and he just not asked. So I would have thought he'd have wanted to sell the pay-per-view a bit more, but maybe this deal is done with Turkey, where he said he went in with an absurd amount of money, thinking it's going to come down, and Turkey just agreed to pay it. I don't know what it is. There's rumours about 10 million. I don't know. It's all allegedly. It's all hearsay. But that is what it is.
Anyway.
I'm looking forward to. Sorry, what was that?
Big bucks anyway. Both of them will. I mean, they'll whatever they do after this, they can retire the rest of their lives and live them comfortably.
absolutely. Well, actually, people do win big money like on the lottery, and then they end up blowing it. Still got to be cute with your dough.
Well, I know, a little bit careful, I know, but yeah, you'd have to be daft. If you have £10 million in your bank at some point and you end up skint, you're an idiot.
Go on Google and have a look at how many people have won 10 million on the lottery and how long it lasted them. You'd be so surprised. Hundreds of people, thousands of people have made that kind of money and just blown it. It's mad.
Yeah.
Like 10 million now is the new 1 million. £1 million in the 90s is £10 million in 2025.
Yeah, mental.
But that's another story. Round 10, we're nearly there. This has gone on. I've enjoyed it. Ding ding. What did you make of Gervonta Davis taking a knee and not receiving a count in that fight?
I thought it was stupid. It's like, I mean, I love watching Gervonta Davis. He's an animal. He's probably
Absolutely.
pound for pound, maybe the hardest puncher in boxing at the minute. Him and Beterbiev, and Inouye, I suppose you could have up there as well. But the knee should have been a count. I mean, used to do that. You remember from the amateurs, if the head guard was moved around, you would take a knee and you would fix your head guard. But you don't do it in professional boxing. And I think there should have been a count started. And in that sense, if Lamont Roach would have won the fight then, because it was a majority draw at the end, wasn't it? So I feel like there probably should be a rematch. And Gervonta Davis got away with one.
Yeah, he did get away with one, didn't he? His glove didn't actually touch the floor, but his knee did.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know what the rules are, because as a professional fighter, it's like you don't quite know at the time what are the rules. Like, imagine something freakish happen. Like, imagine you've got a fly in your eye. If you're in open air and a fly comes, something gets in your eye and you're like temporarily blinded, you can feel it in your eye. Can you stop and tell the ref, hang on a minute, I've got something? Because he said he had this hair product in his eyes, so he took the knee to then go back to his corner. It'd have been better off just saying to the ref, hang on a minute, I can't see, my eyes are stinging, rather than go down. But because by going down on the knee, it's a 10-8 round, and that's because it was a close fight, split decision, whatever, draw, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He would have lost that fight, and that would have been a big deal. So now he gets.
I think if he had a like kind of looked at the referee and says, look, whatever, maybe it'd give him a break to rub it out of his eye. But I tell you what he shouldn't do. Don't be wearing hair products going into a fight. What's that about? Yeah. Fucking hell.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. But it must be correct. His eyes must have been stinging, because there was no real reason for him to take them.
No.
When you look at it, he wasn't really under any pressure. He may have got caught one or two shots before that. But anyway, I thought you'd have said that, and he should have really. He got away with one there, didn't he? And the guy fought with him, gave him a great fight. It was in a hard fight there. I'm looking forward to the rematch.
Yeah, good fighter.
Right, moving on. We're in the championships rounds now. Round 11. In your opinion, which city boasts the most passionate boxing fans in the world? Which city?
I promise you, I'm not just saying this because I'm from this city, but Belfast. I swear, I love Belfast. You'll maybe say Nottingham. Other people would back their own city, but I think that the atmosphere created, like the Odyssey Arena is the biggest arena here in Belfast, and it only holds 9,000, but it sounds like 20 in there.
I boxed here for the World Championships. The amateurs.
I was there. I watched every session as a kid. I wanted to watch them. You got a bronze, didn't you? David Hay got a silver.
Yeah, the Haymaker got silver. He got done by a Solis, didn't he, in the final?
That's right.
I got beat by the Russian world champion in the semi-final.
My old amateur coach, he was
English back then. I was getting booed. I was cheering the Russian.
Yeah. my old English coach was my old amateur coach was Ireland's team manager, Billy McKee, who's no longer with us. So I went to every show, and loved it. And a great Cuban team as well. But Belfast, I think they know what they're watching. A lot of good, knowledgeable boxing fans who make a lot of noise as well. Not full of casuals just out for a drink. There's real boxing people in this city, and for that reason, I would say Belfast.
How many times you boxed at the Odyssey Arena? Have you actually boxed there as a professional?
Yeah, about 7 as a pro, I think.
Oh, really? So that's kind of your home venue, like mine at Nottingham Arena.
I boxed in your undercard, a Butte undercard. I was chief support. I fought a Mexican kid. Yeah. It was what an atmosphere that was. I remember that. That was incredible.
Everyone turned up that night because they thought I was in for a beating. I just lost to Ward. I mean, when I boxed Pascal there, I boxed there a few times, but I was an established world champion from the Super 6, and I'd lost to Ward, and it was my comeback fight. And it was like, do or die now. If I lose to Butte after losing to Ward, it's almost like career curtains. And a lot of people turned up to support me. A lot of people turned up.
That was a great win. People forget about that win, I think, because he was. I mean, I think you were an underdog going into that fight.
Yeah, I was the underdog. Yeah, it was Ring Magazine #1.
Yeah, but it was one-sided, so one-sided.
Yeah, I just jumped on him. If I'd have boxed him and tried to box and manoeuvre, his southpaw slick, it would have been a hard fight, and it would have gone to points, and could have gone either way. I might have got beat, but I just thought, if I just throw the kitchen sink at him and go for it in Nottingham, in front of my home crowd, it's do or die, and I just went for it, mate. Is
that the fight Eddie jumped into the ring too early?
Yeah, Eddie Hills. His toupee nearly came off under that middle rope. He scraped on it, and he ran in and nearly got... Apparently, we could have got disqualified. Then I've later on found out we couldn't get disqualified because he wasn't a licensed cornerman. But yeah, he got in early. But to be fair to him, the referee jumped in as I was battering Butte. He jumped and did that with his arms. He kind of crossed his arms to say stop. But then he decided to start counting. And that's because Butte was kind of being held up by the ropes. But he was getting fucking hammered, man. It was.
I was right. He needed this. It was the right stoppage. Had to be stopped.
The fight needed stopping, and then he did stop it because when Eddie Hills jumped in, his cornerman then came in and came over with a towel and stopped the fight. But Butte was in a bit. He's never been the same since then.
No.
I think he had a steady one with James DeGale, but he failed a drugs test as well after that.
Did he?
But I took his undefeated record, took his soul. He came to Nottingham, mate, and got Cobra. That's how it was. He never got ironed out, though. He went out on his feet, so you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, brave man.
On his feet. Right, well, there, mate. Round number 12, last and final round. We always save the best questions till last. You might have to think about this one. How many people were in attendance when I fought George Groves, and where did it take place? My last fight.
I don't know. 79,000.
79,000. And where was it?
No, we all know the number, don't we?
You just don't want to say it, do you?
80,000. 80,000.
80,000. And where was it?
That was in Wembley Arena.
Wembley Stadium.
Not Wembley Arena. No, Wembley Arena is the wee small place. Wembley. It was at Wembley. It's called Wembley.
But yeah, that's it, mate. Listen, it's been great talking to you. Thanks for your time on the 12 rounds. And yeah, good luck. Good luck with the future. Tell me about your recent... You've got a product on the market, a whiskey. Tell me about it.
Stablemate whiskey. I wish I had one here. Love it. Stablemate whiskey. It's a play on boxing, obviously, but the whiskey's going really well. We're only in Northern Ireland at the minute. The quickest alcoholic product ever from launch to be on shelves in Tesco. So we're in Tesco's NI. We're talking to a few investors at the minute. We've spoken to people about getting it in the estate. We've loads of ideas. So once we get the investment in, then it'll take off properly. So yeah, it's going good, going really well, and it's a good product as well. So can't complain.
Do you drink whiskey yourself?
Yeah, I have a. I was fully involved in the whole process, but I like a drink. I don't go on whiskey all night, but I always have a wee whiskey at the end of the night, and nothing better than a good whiskey, a little bit of ice, and a nice cigar. Love that as well.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais is promoting a whiskey. I think it's called Dutch Barn as well. You're up against him in
Cena.
the promo.
Well, I can't compete.
Class, aren't they?
He's amazing. But
are you a big Gervais fan?
What's that?
A big Gervais fan.
Oh, I love him. Absolutely love him. He's amazing. Really, really funny.
Hence the old.
Yeah.
I reference him quite a lot here on Froch on Fire, which you'll probably see him, but now I'm a big Gervais fan. I don't think there's much chance of getting him on, but I'm going to
you never know.
And get pied again. But no, Carl, listen, mate, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. It's been a good chat. We'll have another catch-up very soon. And yeah, what are you doing next? Actually, what are you doing next in boxing? What's happening? There's not a great...
I've got a bill next week. Nick Ball. It's a.
Nick Ball, yeah, good fighter as well.
I love to watch him. He's a great to watch. Little bull.
You know you're in for someone who's going to go forward and try and iron out his opponent at any cost. He don't mind getting hit, and he can punch a bit, can't he, for his weight?
Yeah, he can. I watched him spar a good American kid last week, and he done 10 rounds, and the American had a good first round, and then he get beat up for the next. I've never felt so sorry for a sparring partner in my life. But Ball is great fighter to watch.
You obviously never see me spar with Tony Bellew. You'd have
No.
I'm only saying that because he fucking dropped me. Anyway, mate, listen, it's been wicked. Thank you very much for jumping on, and all the best with what you're doing in the future. And we'll definitely catch up soon, Carl.
Cheers, Thank you, mate. Cheers.
So that's it for another episode of Froch on Fighting. Carl Frampton, the Jackal, what a guest. He don't give a fuck, does he? He just says it how it is, a bit like the Cobra. Must be that first name, Carl. But anyway, let me know if you want me to get any other guests on, any ideas, just let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, like and share this with your friends. And we'll see you very, very soon.